Hey YouTube, Justin here. This was going to be posted to my alt channel, but seeing how this is absurd as fuck, to me at least, I may as well get the message across faster by showing it to more people. So you know how we have Zootopia merchandise of your favorite characters, right? Judy Hopps, Nick Wilde, the Small Fox Nigga, Bellwether, Mayor Lionheart, Chief Bogo, Duke Weaselton, that huge fucking polar bear, and Mr. Big! Penis! But what about Fru Fru, Mr. Big's daughter? How come there's no physical merchandise of her to be found? Well, seeing as how I'm like one of the only people who even remembered this bitch with a passion, I was the only one to notice this problem, and call it a problem. But hear me out, I have a theory based on why. Play that crescendo, maestro, because the reason why there's no merch of Fru Fru is... because of her fucking hair. I'm not even kidding, think about it. When it comes to character design, designs like Judy and Nick can sell better and faster because they're pretty easy to make out for the different artists making merch. But for character designs like Fru Fru and Mr. Big, which for Mr. Big has been done successfully, it'll be more difficult. For them both is because they're shrews, an animal rarely subjected to merchandising, so artist style interpretation won't be far from the real thing. For Fru Fru individually, it's because her hair, and design in general for that matter, is too fucking complex for it to be reproduced accurately to how it looked in the film. Artists who have drawn Fru Fru, including myself, can get drawing her down because with the experience we have, we're used to drawing more complex things. But more amateur artists have trouble getting the hair to be even close to looking like the same thing in the movie. Fru Fru's hair is a beehive bouffant. They usually look like this, or like this. Or the common comparison is that Fru Fru's hair looks like Snooki's. Which it does, I'm not gonna say no to that. And she does seem a lot like Snooki too, now that I think about it. Even though the last thing I know Disney would ever do is make a reference to such a show like Jersey Shore, but what the fuck do I know, right? But I digress. The point I'm making is just by looking at bouffants, you'd think they aren't all that complicated, but yeah, they can be. And I'm not just saying that because I'm not a fucking hairstylist. But you have to look at Fru Fru like a toy designer. Does it look all that complex as it seems? No. If we can do Mr. Big, we can do her daughter too. We can make the grooves in her hair with the mold no problem. And the paintbrush will make its own texture similar to Fru Fru's hair texture. We just have to stroke in the direction it goes, not all in one big blot of paint. As for her feet, just cover it up with the wedding dress, like this.
I have no legs, I'm coming closer to being like my father.
I'm sure the other tricky bits like her earrings, her wedding veil, and the flowers in her hair can be taken care of by the companies. Or just forgotten. Because who's gonna notice, right? Another reason why there's no merch of Fru Fru is because she didn't have enough screen time, or she wasn't the main focus. It's kinda like how we know Wayne from Hotel Transylvania, but not Wanda, his fucking wife. Not compared to how we know Mr. Big, but not Fru Fru, his fucking daughter. Notice the similarities? In hindsight, we don't know who the hell this bitch is. We don't even know her name for fuck's sake. Mr. Big, I'm sorry. Actually, now that you're here, I have a joke for you. Who did Mr. Big hire as his new polar bear assistant? Dwight P. Eisenhower! Mr. Big? Mr. Big?
Ice him.
But seriously, Fru Fru wasn't seen for that long, and ergo she won't be well known by the majority of the people who saw Zootopia. And because of that, the toy companies and Disney probably thought, when do we need to make a toy of her then, right? Throughout the entire movie, her total screen time is less than a minute.
But hey, let's make a toy set including characters that weren't even seen in the movie, period. Like, I don't know.
How about a fucking squirrel? It's so bad that if you talk to people about Fru Fru by referring to her as Mr. Big's daughter or that girl mouse from the Godfather scene, then they'll remember. And it sucks because she actually plays an important role in the long run of the movie. Think about it. If Fru Fru died from getting crushed by the giant donut because Judy didn't save her, not only would Mr. Big be a lot more upset upon Nick and Judy's unexpected arrival, but they would be done for. Death by hypothermia, in literal mafioso terms, icing. Thus ending the story halfway and letting the rest of it unfold into gradual chaos. Yet despite her playing the role as the Black Domino, she still gets left in the dust because she doesn't have enough scenes to make the audience remember her more fondly after the movie's over. But let's hypothesize for a second. Now let's say there is a toy of her made and it's mass hysteria. Justin cannot shut the fuck up and take this shrew bitch with him to the grave. What would it be like? Well, it would most likely be Fru Fru in her wedding dress. Why? Because the Godfather scene was when she had the most screen time, and she was in her wedding dress at the time because it was her wedding. No shit. So the toy will most likely be her in that lacy white dress, rather than her wearing her muumuu or her other dress with clovers. Hey, I guess you can say she was lucky to get safe from that donut, huh? But let's look on the bright side. Remember that Fru Fru became pregnant later on in the movie? Her little daughter named Judy? Well, if there's one thing that movies have taught me, is that you can never leave a pregnant woman hanging. Because you want to see that pussy pop out your divorce papers and custody restrictions. I love the smell of emotional child neglect and broken marriages in the morning. But seriously, Fru Fru is pregnant, and that not only opens up an opportunity for terrible fucking fanfictions and fetish art, but that could also give another reason as to why there should be a sequel to Zootopia. But not just for that one reason, that would be selfish and underground fanservice-y as fuck. And considering how motherfucking successful Zootopia was in the box office, you know that Disney's gotta milk that cow before it becomes a hamburger. And in the sequel, if Fru Fru has a more noticeable role than a supporting background character, then she'll have more screen time, and then the viewing audience will notice her, and then there will be a stronger chance of plushies and more merchandise of Fru Fru being made. And in whatever dress she's wearing to boot, rather than her just being in the wedding gown. Because if someone's wearing a wedding gown every day ever since they got it, that wouldn't make any damn sense whatsoever. Unless if she was getting married every day, which would also make no fucking sense whatsoever. Oh my god, that would be a lot of freaking Judys. But remember, this was all a hypothesis. Who knows if a sequel to Zootopia will ever happen? Byron doesn't know, and I don't know, and we're not obliged to say otherwise. So don't take the whole pregnant equals potential sequel idea I said back there as fact, or else you're really going to be disappointed. But discarding the whole sequel thing, I don't even know if the idea will ever come to the toy companies about making merch of Fru Fru anyway. And at this rate, it most likely won't ever happen. Not even the fans of the movie would make plushies and stuff of her because she isn't so well known within the community. And because she wasn't seen so much in the movie, and we rarely saw her back clearly enough, it would be difficult to pull off anyway. If only someone were to make a reference sheet of her so it would be easier for merchandise to be made! Oh look! Fucking dying, man. I decided to make a character reference sheet for those of you out there who would not only like to know how to accurately draw Fru Fru, but also for other reasons like, well, for making merch of her, 3D models of her, and whatever. And why I say such a taboo thing is because I'm planning on commissioning someone myself to make a plushie of Fru Fru for me. I'm fucking serious. I'm that addicted to this character. Je vais mourir. The link to the art can be found in the description. You can also look at the other artwork I've done in Fru Fru for reference, or just to look at it, because I've drawn her a lot of times. Go figure. You know you want that shrew pussy, bitch. So I think that should do it for this video. Have a happy new fucking year. May 2016 die a brutal and merciless death. End of recording.